So welcome everyone, and I believe that there are more people who need to come here, right? Yes, that's why we're having this meeting. For the past 5 weeks, I've shared about the time management of Jesus, and it's time for us to move on to the next topic, and I chose our next topic, and it's called the very basics of Christianity. The very basics of Christianity. I would like to share, I don't know how many weeks that I would like to share, but there are very fundamental things in Christianity that we all have to know, and I would like to share it with you from this week on. Okay? And many of you, I believe, missed the chapel last week on Friday, but I would like to emphasize one thing from the message that I shared at the chapel from last week. If you think about the first 3 centuries in history, from the Roman Empire, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd centuries, right? That's where Jesus was born, right? And that's when he started his ministry. That's why we call it BC, which means before Christ. So when he was born, he started his ministry when he was around 30, and he did it for a little more than 3 years. And that's how we believe that Christianity started. But we know that we have Old Testament, so technically Christianity didn't start there, but we can say that the church started there. Okay? Even though the Christianity based on the God in the Old Testament started a long, long time ago. But the church started back then. And for the 300 years, that's when the most Christians were persecuted by the Roman Empire. There were no other religions than Christianity to be persecuted like that. So if you want to become a Christian in these 3 centuries, you're more likely to be dead, persecuted, or to be in the jail. Serious persecutions, right? Then we need to ask this question. Why on earth did the people want to become a Christian? Because from the beginning, when Jesus was ascended to heaven after the resurrection, there were not many people who remained as a Christian. How many? Maybe in the upper room, we know that there were 120. Jesus met about 500 after he resurrected. So we can say that a few hundreds of people remained as a Christian, Jesus followers. But from that time on, the number of the Christians grew and grew, even though there were persecutions, right? And we need to ask this question. Why on earth they choose to be a Christian? Even though there were persecutions. Even they could be put to death with that belief. Why did they do so? Because Christianity offered a very unique thing. Okay? First, they got the meaning of their life that the persecutions cannot take away. See, they found the true meaning of their lives. That's why, even though there were persecutions, it cannot take that away. Okay? They have the meaning. And the second thing is that they had the joy and satisfaction, not based on the changing environment, but based on the personal relationship with God. Thirdly, they found out the identity, that they are the ones who are loved by Almighty God. And they are the ones who can love the others. These 3 things were the things that they got offered by Christianity. That's why, even though there was some persecution, even though there's some possibility to death, they chose to be a Christian. Okay? And how did this work? See, no other religions teach you that you have a personal, intimate relationship with your own God. Okay? We need to remember that. No other religion can teach you that you can have a personal, intimate, loving relationship with God. Do you have any other religions? Teresa? I mean, if you think of something else, please tell me. Is there any other religions who will say that you can't actually have a personal, intimate, loving relationship with the divine beings?
No, except it's time to.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to prove you. In history, there were no other religions where they teach that you actually can have a personal relationship with God. And second reason how they offer these three meaning, joy, and identity is that it is based on the salvation by grace. Salvation by grace. The salvation is not going to be obtained or acquired by your behavior, but it will be given by grace by God. Okay? That was a fundamental differences from other religions that the Christianity uniquely offered. But you know what? Even up to now, even these days, there's no religions where they can say that the salvation is only by grace. See? Every other religion has to say that you need to do something. You need to prove yourself to be saved. You need to do certain rituals to be holy. Right? But Christianity starts from different fundamentals. And I would like to share with you this one important concept. So the title of today's message is that the very basics of Christianity 1, and it is grace. Grace. What is grace? And I hope and pray with this series of messages, I would like us to be more equipped and stand on the firm foundation of Christianity. Okay? To begin with, I would like to teach you very interesting Korean words. And except you two, I believe that these foreigners can read. I don't know whether they understand it or not. But Jin, would you please read this for us?
선불.
선불. And what does that mean? No. Don't look it up. 선불. Do you know what this means? No. Okay. 선 means pre, before, in advance. 불 means payment. You need to pay first to get the service or to get the goods. Okay? This is 선불. Huh?
I understand also in the check when I'm using the card or transportation card.
선불 카드. You're supposed to pay certain amount of money first so that you can use it for the service. And how about this one? 선불 and 후불. Easy? Which means you're gonna get the service or products first. And then you can pay it later. Right? And the most difficult one and tricky one is what? What does that mean?
I use a lot.
Oh, he uses this system a lot because of the credit cards, okay? I mean, when you pay with your credit card, it's not actually technically you are paying. The company of the credit card will pay for you, right? And then you will pay that money to the credit card company later on, right? But 할부 means that installment, which is you don't have to pay it all in once. You can divide it with certain numbers, and then you can pay it. If it's a million won, you can pay 100,000 won 10 times, right? That's how the credit cards are working. With a very little amount of the interest, they can charge you some money so that they can earn more money. So the first one was 선불, you need to pay first. 후불, which means you can pay later. 할부, okay? It means that if you're using the credit card, you can pay in a various times. Did you all get the ideas about this type of payment? Okay? I'll tell you why I explained this type of concept later on. So we all probably have heard about the terms grace. right? And I believe that every one of us has our own definition about grace. How would you guys define the word grace in your own term? Please think about it. What would be the definition of grace? In a biblical sense, right? Not in the worldly, secular sense, but in a biblical sense, what would be the definition of grace in your own term?
I'm just thinking grace would be peace.
Peace. Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you. What else? Changing something. What? In a good way. Changing certain situation or things. It'll be changed in a better way, better situation. Good. Jayden, you have something to say?
It's like a gift for, it's kind of a gift. Based on the Bible, like it's a gift. For instance, grace came since we already have sinned. God gave us a grace so that He can make relationship with us.
So He gave us very good answer from the Bible, because many theologians and pastors have already established a biblical definition of grace, which is a gift from God to those who don't deserve it. Okay? Grace means that it's a gift from the Lord, from God, to those who don't deserve that gift at all. Okay? That's what's called grace. And this is very unique concept. I should say Christianity is the only religion where they say grace like this way. Think about the relationship between humans and God. I'm not talking about the biblical God here. I'm talking about the divine beings in the world. We have a lot of divine beings in Buddhism, in Islam, in shamanism. Everywhere you go, every tribe, every places, you always can find out certain divine beings, whether it's demons or more powerful ones, or maybe Almighty God. They always make this type of divine beings. If you think about humans and divine beings, there are certain connections and relationship. What would that be? See, the divine beings always are in charge of certain areas. Let's say that nature, okay? Certain divine being is in charge of the cloud and rain. Or this one is in charge of maybe affluence or child, birth. And this one is in charge of the wealth. Okay? And since they have their own areas, when people would like to have certain things from divine beings, they need to do some sacrificial things or offerings. See, many people want to have many kids, children, except Korea here. Kids, affluence, wealth, or maybe if they're sick, they want to be healed, right? That's why they always have to go to a certain divine beings. And do you know what they do? They have to sacrifice certain things. For example, in Korea, we have many old stories like that. Have you ever heard about the story called 심청전? 심청전 is a very famous story, which is basically the daughter had to sacrifice her life to save her dad. But in the end, both lived happily ever after, so don't worry about it. But still, her intention to be sacrificed, to save her father, was something good. That's why the divine beings were pleased with her attention. That's why they gave certain gift. See, in the world, in everywhere where you find any divine beings, if you want to get let's say just a small gift, or maybe rain is really difficult. It's almost impossible as a human being to have rain. That's why we have so many rituals and offerings to have more rain, right? And maybe how about oceans? If you go to Yeongdo, Yeong Island in Busan, early in the morning, you always find the pig's head. Not me. The pig's carcass, they cut the head and they offer it to the ocean. Why? To avoid storms, to have more fish. They always offer pig's head. And people are running to get the money, get the meat. Seriously. People are still doing many of these type of things. I mean, just last week, PNU are starting the new semester, right? And engineering department, they do the same ritual. They bought pig's head, put it on the table, and they bowed. The students, just last week. Why did they do that? To have a better semester, to have a blessed semester. They offer pig's head to whom? Certain divine beings. Spiritual world, whoever it is, just bless us because we are doing this sacrifice for you. Why don't you take it pleasantly, and why don't you bless us? See, this is a mechanism how divine beings and humans are working closely together. But the interesting thing is that every divine being that human think of is limited this way. Right? To please them, we need to do something. To make them happy, we need to sacrifice something. To get certain things from them, since they are in charge, we need to offer certain things. But you know what? Christianity is totally opposite. God Himself and His Son sacrificed Himself to save us. See? I mean, I've studied most of the religions in the world. Since I'm a pastor, I studied it professionally. And I've studied shamanism. I've studied and I've experienced many spiritual things. It's everything else is all the same. We need to do something to obtain something. We need to sacrifice ourselves to get blessed. But Christianity works the opposite way. God Himself first sacrificed His Son to save us. We need to remember this. In a biblical term, the sinners like us had no ability to seek for God. Right? We had no ability because we were dead spiritually. How a dead person wake up and find something good? We always try to find something sinful, something ugly. Right? But the Bible told us like this. Let's look up the Bible. It's Romans chapter 5, verse 8. Let's read it together. Shall we? Ready? Go. But God demonstrates His own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Okay? You see, we did not prepare anything. We did not act anything. We did not try to impress God first. But God did it first while we were still sinners. I mean, there are stories that people sacrificed themselves to a better world. Okay? There were some heroes who sacrificed themselves to save a good person. But God sacrificed Himself to save sinners like us. That's a concept that no human being can think of. See, the reason why we call grace is a gift is that, let's think about it this way. So, it was my daughter's birthday. Okay? Her birthday is coming up. And if you knew my daughter, she's really into this type of Pilates and ballet. every morning and every evening, she always plays this video of a lady doing Pilates, and she's a professional teacher, and she watches her and following her movement. She's doing it every morning and every evening, like twice a day. And since her birthday is coming, I try to find a good gift for her. I searched what would be the best gift for her. And I heard that the teacher that she's watching every day, she moved to Busan. Right? It was a good news for me. And I contacted her. And she can offer a one-day class. And I booked it, and I paid it, and I didn't tell my daughter nothing about her. And I brought her to her office, and it was such a pleasant surprise for her. So to receive that gift, what did she do? Nothing. Nothing. What did I do? I searched it, and I booked it, and I paid it. I did everything. I drove it. I called her. Okay, are you there? We're going. We're coming. And surprise. That's called a gift. This last week was my son's birthday. First one, Eden. And he's really into the animals. And there's a vultures in Korea. It's not in the cage, but they flew from Mongolia, 3,000 kilometers. There's one guy who fed them from his own private money, right? He started to feed the vultures. It's not like aggressive ones, it's very peaceful ones, but it's huge. And he started to feed them, and they kept coming every winter. Like 600 to 800 vultures. It's massive. And I also tried to book it, pay it, and drove an hour and a half to give him a chance to see the vulture right in front of him. He loved it. He loved it. Here's my phone. This is my profile, 뭐라고 하지? KakaoTalk picture of me. I took it by myself. Vulture. Isn't it nice? They saw these vultures with their bare eyes. It was such a pleasant surprise. What did he do to get the gift? Nothing. Just wait. And be ready to have that gift. That's why it's called gift. Who did every dirty, different jobs to save us? God did. Jesus did everything for us. And that is why it is called grace. And it is called good news. Okay? It is such a good news that God did everything for us. There was nothing that we could do. That's why He first sent His Son to resolve everything. That's why it's called gift. And it's to those who don't deserve it at all. We were still sinners. But God chose to save us even though there must have been a sacrifice from His Son. That's how He did it. See, the concept that I explained about the payment. 선불, 후불, 할부. 선불 means what? You need to pay first to get the service. You need to pay first to have the goods and products. Did we pay anything to have that salvation? No. But how about the other religions? They have to pay first. Oh man, right? They have to sacrifice something. They have to offer, right? A big thing. If they want a bigger thing, it's better for them to offer better things, bigger things. How about 후불 or 할부? 후불 or 할부. And in many religions, if they think that they are blessed, they are obligated to pay back. Okay? Otherwise, the divine beings will take them away. You don't pay me back. You don't deserve it. I'm going to just take it away. Even though I gave you a birth of your loving kids, I'm going to take their life away. That's how the most divine beings in the world will work with us. How about Christianity? How about Christianity? Yes, we know that we are saved by grace. Yes, we know that we are saved only because of the grace of God, only because of the blood of the Jesus. Yes, we know that. But do we have to, are we obligated to pay back? What do you think? You see, this is really important concept. If we believe that we have to pay back, then the concept of grace doesn't make any sense. But then, are we not obligated to do anything after we're saved? Even though we know that God's love is so great and His sacrifice is to save everybody in human history, then we don't have to do anything for Him? See, the motivation and the reasons are different. People are doing good works to prove themselves that they are the ones who will get blessed more. Or they want to show themselves off so that the divine beings will bless them more. Okay? But the reason why Christians are doing good things, or maybe doing offerings, gathering like this to worship God, is because, not because that we want to prove ourselves that we deserve certain good things. No, since we've already got enough from the Lord. That's how we can now enjoy it and share it. This is not my obligation. This is my calling. This is not something mandatory for me, but this is something pleasant, joyful thing for me to serve you guys. I have one friend of mine who's living in Indonesia. He also studied mechanical engineering, but he moved to Indonesia to serve the people in Indonesia. Now, he's not a Korean citizen anymore because he changed his citizenship from Korea to Indonesia. Many people will say that is such a stupid decision. Being a Korean citizenship will be more beneficial. I mean, obviously. But he gave up on his citizenship to become more close to the friends in Indonesia. How did he do so? Was it mandatory? Was it obligated to do so? No. He was full of love, full of grace already. That's how he was able to make the decision. Many people told me when I was graduating, I was a really good student, as you can expect, imagine. I did quite well. I was quite a good student. Yeah. Many professors recommended me a very good jobs. Yes, since my English was quite good, my attitude was good. I had such a strong leadership. I'm a charismatic person. I'm conscientious. I'm healthy. I think I'm well conditioned to be a good worker anywhere. And many people expected me to become a wealthy or rich one or maybe successful one. But whenever professors ask me, are you willing to apply for that job? Because it's just open. If you apply, you'll just get the job. And I just thought to myself, I have a better one. I have a better one. Even though they will give me much money, I thought to myself, I have a better choice. I'm not giving up on that one because I already knew that I have a better one. Right? It wasn't sacrifice for me. It wasn't any mandatory practice or something. Because I already found out that serving the people as a full-time minister would be much better than this. Right? I didn't choose my pastoral career to be proven as the one who will get more blessing. No. I was called only by grace and only by His mercy. Now I am so grateful that I am here, serving people, sharing love. I mean, I could have made more money if I chose different path, of course. But still, since I knew what is better, it wasn't mandatory, it wasn't obligated one, but I chose a better choice. That's how the Christians are working. Okay? We don't act to have more attention from the Lord. We already knew that He poured everything out for us. That's how we can respond to that love. Right? And it's called worship. It's called service. It's called loving one another. Right? That's how the Christianity is working. So based on this concept of grace, everything will grow up on that concept. That is why I think it's really important to understand what grace is all about. Okay? And the reason why I wanted to start this new series called The Very Basics of Christianity is that, the world is too complicated. The world is getting more sinful ever more. And we need to have a firm foundation as Christians to stand on His grace. And then I believe that we can share that love of God, the grace of God, to the world. To wrap this time up, I would like to encourage you guys that during this week, I want all of us to be stayed in grace, right? To meditate more about His grace and try to start from grace. And everything, what we will be doing, will be quite different. Because it's not just about a mandatory, it's not just about commands, but it will flow out of the heart of grace. Thank you for listening. And I would like to have a couple of minutes to pray individually. Let's just pray to God. Oh, Father God, thank you for this time to learn about the very basics about Christianity. And Father, I will also like to realize more about your grace, Lord. Yes, we didn't pay anything and we don't have to pay back at all. But what you have done for us is beyond our imagination. And Lord, teach us more about your grace so that we would be full of your grace. Let's pray.